your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Wrestling with Freddie, Season 3. First of all, we'd like to thank everyone for their support. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for wanting. We are back. Also, today's episode dedicated to WrestleMania. And finally, it looks like Endeavor has purchased WWE for somewhere between $8 and $10.2 billion. We don't know. We don't want to know. This is Wrestling with Freddie. Good evening. And good luck. We're starting the show, Big Jeff. I got the opening correct. How are you, sir? I was going to say I miss you, but I see you all the time, it seems like. So I'm just going to say I miss you for pleasantries. How are you, sir?
I miss you too, buddy. Feeling really good, man. You nailed the opening. That's a good omen for Season 3.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I love it. WrestleMania weekend was huge.
We were there for Saturday, which I believe was the superior day to Sunday. What about you? Which day did you think was better? You, like me, watched Sunday on television and Saturday at the live event.
I was just explaining to our lovely producer, who has a new wrestling name, Mac Daddy Alex.
That's right. That's
right. I think going with you to wrestling, when we went to AEW and when we went to WrestleMania on Friday, they're two of my favorite days ever. I'm like a little kid. I was having fun. I was running around and being silly, trying to make friends, make people laugh. I couldn't believe they're giving away food and drink in there. I was going, hey, this is free whiskey and popcorn. Like, this is the greatest. I was having a good time. It was cool to sit with you. I don't know if we're allowed to say the wrestlers that were in our suite or not, but we had some wrestlers.
Sure, some homies came by to say hello and say hi to the
Alexa
kids and
Bliss
say hi to
and Baron
us.
Corbin there. So I was kind of like starstruck that they're there. There were some cute women in the back. I happened to have one of my buddies that was just happened to be come with someone else to the same suite. My point is, it was such a good day, but I felt like I barely watched any of the wrestling. I almost had to like come home and like re-watch all of the wrestling that was happening because I was like a little kid in there just being like, this is such a cool day and I'm with Freddie. And it's the first time I've ever gotten to really hang with Sarah, which was really cool. And then also like, I love your kids. So that was a fun part of it to watch them watch wrestling. That was so funny.
Yeah, you and my daughter got into it during Cena and Austin Theory. I thought you guys were going to fist fight. I was glad I was between you.
I didn't know that your daughter was the funniest person alive.
She's a funny chick. When she's comfortable with people, she is very outgoing. When they're strangers, she can tend to get a little shy, but she knows you now, and she knows she can because you'll give it to her a little bit. You'll give her the business a little bit with a wink and a smile, and so she's like, "Oh, wait a minute! If he's giving me the business, we must be cool." Yeah. And so even when I said Jeff's coming over, we're gonna go to WrestleMania, she was like, "Wait. Jeff Davis," that's the showrunner for my wife's show. She was like, "He likes wrestling?" I go, "No." She goes, "Oh, you made Jeff Dye." And she got super excited. And so when you guys were going, because she hates Cena, so she's going to boo him. You were cheering Cena because that's what you're supposed to do.
No, I wasn't cheering Cena. I was booing Cena just because she was. But then when I saw that,
started off, I thought.
Yeah, I switched. To just annoy her. But she was very, very funny. But I think that night one wasn't as good as night two.
Tell me why. We disagree. Tell me why.
So I felt like night two had moments that people would talk about, whether they were intentional or not, right? So you got a Hell in a Cell, which is like a gimmicky thing, and I can't wait to talk to you about that. I'd love to hear what you thought about that Hell in a Cell match. But then also like Shane coming out, that's we haven't seen him for a while. So whether you like Shane or not, that is a big celebrity appearance or like a pro wrestler appearance. And then he hurt his knee. So that's something people are talking about, like, he popped his knee or whatever.
He probably shouldn't have been out there in the first place, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want him out there at all. But at least we got some surprise appearance and then something to talk about because it was like, you're like, here comes the money. And then it's like, there goes the money. He's out. That's 30 seconds. About 30 seconds. But I just thought there was so many more moments, I think, with night two is all I think. And if you look at the two cards, I think everyone knew that too. I think everyone knew like before it even happened, like that night two was going to be a bigger.
Well, not everyone, because I disagree. I honestly thought, other than the main event, which we'll get into, I thought night one was the superior night. I thought the matches were more fun. I thought the right people won all the way down the line, basically. And night 2, I thought the wrong people won sometimes, and I just didn't like the vibe as much. And so I guess it's weird to compare the 2 days. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that, but it's hard not to. But I wasn't a big fan of or I didn't think I was going to like Brock and Omos. And then Brock made it okay. I was like, wait a minute. He started off just like laughing at his inability to affect Omos. And then halfway through, he was selling like hell. And all of a sudden I was like, well, wait a minute. They're not going to. Okay, thank God they didn't. All right, Brock won. We're happy. We're good. But he saved that match for me. But other than that, Hell in the Cell was weird because I don't think Finn Balor knew how strong the camera mics were. So if you were there, I think it was better than if you watched it on TV because he did too much of that, like blah 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 blah, and like my kids and wife are laughing, like they're laughing, bro. And I hate that. I hate when people think wrestling is goofy, and that's not Finn's fault because he's not aware that it came through so crystal clear on the camera mics. So I didn't love the match because of that. I loved Edge. I loved the work that the two men did, but that Count Chocula stuff, man, it took me out of it. Like,
I think that's why the demon lost is because he's like, kill the demon. I don't ever want to do this again. Like, if we could just defeat the demon, I don't ever have to dress like this again. I don't have to do I'm possessed. Also, do we need red and purple kendo sticks? Do I need a purple table and red chairs? Like,
what was the significance of that? Was it just like brood and demon colors or what?
Yeah, we were talking about how wrestling didn't want to spend any money on WrestleMania, but they spent some time spray painting a table purple for no reason. Like we don't need.
That's effort. That's elbow grease, not money. But they definitely were a little skimpalicious on the money. Although when the philosophy, and I know this was the philosophy, was they wanted it to be the most profitable WrestleMania of all time. So it was cut as much cost as possible. And then, by the way, and then sell. So this was a great way for them to show just how profitable the company can be. They had basically 2 sellouts. They had $21 million in sales and over 80,000 people both nights. So it was a good weekend for the WWE. It just was a really bad weekend for Cody Rhodes and for everybody that invested their time and energy in watching his story, which is billed as a Hollywood story, to come to a finale in Hollywood and supposedly have a Hollywood ending. And it was the worst possible ending a movie could have. And I include every single WWE film ever made, the Marine 1 through 12, have all ended better than the end of Cody Rhodes' night. I have no idea why they put him through that story, why they let him make that many promises on camera, and then to not be able to fulfill any of them. I don't know how it helps his character. I don't care how many times Solo Sikoa comes in and cheats. I don't know how fans believe in him as much as they did. Again, I've heard people talk, well, maybe they'll do it at MSG where his dad won in a couple months. And it's like, you're going to force it and force feed the championship? Like, that's what fans hate, is when there's like, we'll give him the title on this date because of this. No, give him the title when the story dictates the title should be given, not when it's a good location. That's like when movies started sucking, was when they started pre-selling territories, because they're like, well, Tom Cruise makes more money than Tom Hanks in Indiana, so we're going to go after Tom Cruise instead of Tom Hanks and pre-sell all the theaters in Indiana. It's like, all right. Christopher Reeves warned everybody about this, basically got blacklisted, and then was proved right. I hope they're not doing that. I just don't know what you do with Cody from here. Like, what you can do, make him the U.S. champ? That's why he signed with the company. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, man. And it was kind of a downer at the end. It was a weird way to end WrestleMania. I legit didn't even like tune in for Aftermath. It was 1, 2, 3, ding. And I was like, no. Click. We're going to watch some anime with the boy. Like, it was just a weird downer ending. And I don't mind heels winning, if the story dictates it. I keep going back to like Cody's negotiation. Like, what must that have been to get him to leave AEW and go there? Was it just, hey, we're going to put you in the main event at WrestleMania? Or was it, hey, man, we're going to get you the championship and here's the story to do it? Or was it just, hey, man, I'm sick of AEW. I want to come back. I want to come back. I've learned a lot. Let's see if we can work out a good money deal and make everybody happy. If it was one of the formers, and if it was the championship story, then they did him wrong as hell. If he knew this going in, cool. Then it's more on him for the promos that he cut. Because, I mean, and even his father said this. I remember his father saying this. He said, everything you bring to the ring, baby, is a promise. Everything you say to those people is a promise. And baby faces can't lie, baby. And so I'm sitting there like, because I wrote a promo that he didn't like. And so I sat there and I rewrote it and I brought it back to Dusty and he's like, this is better. This is because he's not going to win the match, but he's going to give it his all, baby. And he's like trying to help me, right? Be a better wrestling writer because he liked my dialogue. So I've always subscribed to that philosophy and I know the company has as well because I've heard other people in the company say Dusty's version of that, or maybe Dusty was saying their version. I don't know. But it was a very weird finish. And sadly, it ends up being my worst of the week. Like, I'll hit you with that right now. I just thought they really just deaded that story. Maybe they're going straight to Sami Zayn, although he looks pretty preoccupied with the tag
the match
titles
wasn't your worst of the week, but the story, the finish,
the story and the finish. No, they wrestled the hell out of each other.
That match was amazing.
Best wrestling of the entire weekend. They just got the wrong finish, and the wrong guy won. Even though Roman's the right guy, he's still like, he should have lost. Cody should have won. Then you can do the Sami Zayn thing, and then you turn Cody heel. You don't want to give him the promise. He doesn't want to fulfill the promise as a heel. You got to fulfill it as a babyface. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing?
If I really sit back and think in my wrestling mind, or like how, we've watched wrestling our whole lives, there's been guys that have been in the company who have you could say, quote unquote, earned like a spot, you know what I'm saying? Like Seth freaking Rollins, or you got like a Bobby Lashley, or a Drew McIntyre, or there's so many people that have been at WWE. They've had great storylines. They've had these things. They've been there so long. They've worked so hard. Cody Rhodes hasn't even been in WWE, hasn't been back in WWE in a long time.
I've seen the pushes they give hype, right? And so there was a lot of hype surrounding Cody. Look at the push they gave Logan Paul. You know what I mean? Like, he just had like a little 3-month contract or whatever it was. I think it's over now, by the way. And so he just wanted to work the Rihanna Super Bowl deal, right? Like, let me sell my drink. She had the powder pad, the makeup powder, and like during the middle of her song takes it out so everyone can see her brand logo, and boom, powders the face, and bam, I'm pregnant and I'm singing again. And Logan comes out and he does his Prime thing, right? Because that's what he wants people to
We love Primey. That's the next big star in WWE, dude. Primey.
Primey for Intercontinental Champion. He's going to take on Gunther, I heard.
He could be he could be as big as R-Truth, dude. People would love to see some Primey.
I hated Primey so much. I was so glad when he got splashed by his best friend.
Why not make that Logan or Jake Paul, like you said? Because you thought it was Jake in there. Yeah, it should have been Jake.
It should have been Jake. I think it was just a Prime deal for his drink company, and he's just trying to promote that. And he got paid a ton of money. I actually heard how much he got paid. I'm not going to say.
Primey
I'll talk about people's money.
Logan?
No, the Logan Paul deal. But he got paid. And he basically got paid to promote his own stuff. So you can't be mad at the dude for hustling it like that. He made it work.
Bad to say about Logan Paul.
He made his wrestling look crisp and clean. He lost, which he should have done. He should have lost that match. The right person won, Seth friggin' Rollins. Stop dressing weird, bro. And yeah, man, I loved when Primey got slammed, although it should have been Jake Paul in there. I guess, though, if it's Jake Paul, then Logan has to win. Because that's when Jake, like when the ref's not looking, blasts on Seth and then takes the mask off. And it's like, haha, it's Jake Paul. And then he's out cold and Logan gets the win. So maybe it's better that it wasn't. But Primey, out of all the mascots in the world, you're number 2 for me, right behind the Phoenix Suns gorilla, whatever his name is.
Ooh, if we're gonna do that, you got to give Benny the Bull, the Philly Fanatic.
You know all of them.
Phoenix
Like
Suns
you
Gorilla.
actually know these guys.
Then Primey. Primey's up there.
What about the Chicken
Not the
Man?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch guy. I didn't like that. What was that guy? Would you agree there was too many ads this WrestleMania? Like, this was the most like advertised WrestleMania I've ever seen in my life. It was just so much ads.
Money everywhere, man. Money everywhere. Everywhere. 21 million in ticket sales.
Yeah, I know.
Money
I can
everywhere.
get my taxes done at TurboTax. I know. I don't need 700 reminders of it.
But now you really know. Crunch. You know they're committed to the game, and they're spending all the people they insure's money on ads for the Super Bowl and for WrestleMania. And WWE has done a good job of making the audience feel like they're a part of the show. And I think that lends itself to exactly what you're saying. They're like, no, we're a part of this. We're going to be on TV. You see me? I was dressed like Hogan. Like, that's always like a big part of it.
Signs used to be a huge thing.
Yeah, they cut back to they do video montages of people reacting to matches from 25 years ago. You know what I mean? Like that, they've made the fans a part of the show. They've done a great job at that.
Now, that being said, here's a little thing WWE doesn't want you to know. That's why you come to Wrestling with Freddie, because we'll tell you stuff that maybe someone won't want it. They are pumping in sound when you watch that thing on television. So, I watched night 2 at my buddy's party, and this is another Vince thing. You could you would have choreographers being, listen to the intensity of this crowd or whatever, but
and then
it's
the crowd
all
noise
being
would
pumped.
come up.
They show the end of that terrible tag match between all the girls that Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, which was the worst of the week. I mean, that was the most embarrassing wrestling match I've seen in a long time, especially for the stage of WrestleMania. But anyways, and you see the people in the crowd are just watching, they're not mad or anything, but they're just watching. But then you're hearing it's like, oh, it's like you think that they're
everyone's mouth's closed. You're like, where's this noise coming from?
Yeah, they're just feeding in sound, and they're like, listen to the intensity of the crowd. It's like, trust me, we were there night one.
They were doing that on SmackDown all the way back when I worked there. Not for Raw, but they would do it on SmackDown big time. They would literally, so that you knew who to cheer for, they would have boos for the heels and cheers for the, and I'm just like, what? That's so corny, but all right.
Well, even when we were there, it's like 100% of the stadium was loving the WrestleMania. I'm not saying they weren't cheering, but they were just tentatively watching and cheering when things happened and booing when they didn't like things. Yeah. But if you watch it on the television, it's like just nonstop. It feels like playoff baseball.
Like a soccer game. It's like a European soccer game where the crowd just never stops screaming. And that was not the vibe. And like you said, everyone was attentive. Everyone was all in. The crowd was hot. It was hyped. It's just they decide when they cheer.
Right.
Not you. And that decision is based off the work that the 2 people are doing in the ring, or sometimes the 8 people in the ring. But yeah, man, that's always been a strange thing to me. I don't know why they still do it. It's not necessary. It's not helping sell the brand. Oh, people are hearing cheering. That's why they know it's good. No, that people are going, why are they cheering? Nothing's happening. Like, that's how people's brains work. They're watching something and they're hearing something that doesn't match. And our brain's telling us this is a lie. It's just no one wants to believe someone would be that insecure that they would pump in fake crowd noise. But it's true. There are people that insecure. I also don't know why Bianca Belair beat Asuka. I haven't seen Bianca get better since she won the title. I've seen her stay at the level she's at, which is good, but I feel like we should have seen more growth from her by now. So I genuinely thought Asuka would win and be a placeholder for whatever heel they're going to try to get over to beat Asuka, because that's how they use her, right? And I don't mean use in a bad way. She's a credible, amazing wrestler. She gets all her stuff over. She makes her opponents look great. She's willing to lose at this point in her career, so she doesn't mind dropping a title, and she's still a credible champion.
Bianca Belair?
Asuka.
Okay.
So, because that's how they've used her in the past, right? She holds the belt for a little while, then the other person comes in, beats her, and that's the person we really want to have the championship. So that's how they function with her. And so I thought she was going to win to set someone else up because I felt like their philosophy would be, look, we've given Bianca a hell of a run, and I don't know how much more we can do. But then I saw her opening with all the little kids doing the Bianca Belair
she's
dance.
Gonna win. Yep.
Yeah, my daughter and I both were like, "Oh God, she can't lose now."
It was so cute. No it was very, very, very cool.
So I guess the right person won again. I just would like to see her get to another level on the microphone, and
that's.
Yeah,
I will say one criticism of WrestleMania. I don't even know if it's a criticism, more of an observation. There was only one title change. All those matches and one title change. Rhea Ripley was the
and
only
Charlotte.
title change.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the tag team champs.
Oh, there you go.
So that's a championship.
So two title change.
As far as the singles titles, yeah, like the IC stayed with Gunther. I thought I was going to hate that match, by the way. It might have been my favorite match of both nights.
Good.
These guys beat the living crap out of each other,
those
but for
smacks, real. I was like, God. Did they mic them from inside their chest? Like how, what is that sound? I mean, it was insane.
Bro, the Sheamus one where he was just in the corner getting whooped on by Gunther. I was like, oh my God, I've never heard a chop that loud. And then Gunther and Drew started going back and forth. And I was like, oh my God, those chops are so much louder than the ones I just heard.
And when Sheamus had
McIntyre
on the other side of the rope and he's hitting him like that in front of the crowd, Drew, it appeared like just said, all right, enough. And like just kind of like slid down. Like just kind of like, all right. That was like.
He's like, I counted 30. And Sheamus is like, no, we're only at 28. And he's like, no, plenty. F you, it's 30.
It's plenty. This is a lot. They got their worth. I'm dropping out of this.
He's like, yo, you stopped and started my heart 6 times during this process. Please leave me alone.
I started to think
beating
too,
his chest.
Those kind of little moments make it seem more real. Like him just being like that is you just going, enough. Like I just, whatever. Or there was even a moment where, Roman did something through the table where he was trying to powerbomb Cody, but then Cody was able to just kind of stand up and kind of reverse him into the other table.
Yeah. That was a great shot.
Their timing was a little off, but it did make it look more real. The timing being off made it seem like two guys trying to fight each other.
It made it look like Cody tried to get the body drop, the back body drop, and couldn't. And then he's like, blam! And the table
my buddy was like,
that exploded.
My buddy was like, that looked clunky. And then we rewinded it and we're like, no, it actually kind of looks more real this way. Like it is what you would be doing if you're trying to, it was cool.
I thought it looked great, man. They really, I mean, all the matches except the girls tag match, I thought did a good job, met expectation or exceeded expectation. I will say one thing, man, wrestlers know matches. My daughter at one point asked Lexi how much longer she thought the Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair match would go because she really wanted Charlotte to win, and she was liking the match. And Lexi goes, probably about 2 minutes. And like 1 minute and 58 seconds later, boom, we have a new champion.
Ding, ding, ding.
I looked over at her. I was like, yo, how did you do that? That was sick.
That's pretty sick.
But as big time Rhea Ripley lovers on this show,
yes,
I know some people were mad that Charlotte Flair lost the title. But who would you have rather Rhea get the title off of? That's why Charlotte got the belt back, to make it credible for Rhea to go over the most credible champion, arguably the most. You could say Becky's the most, but one of those girls for certain is. And for her to beat Flair like that now makes her the one, which is what you and I have been saying she should be all of last year. And I really thought they got it right. And she's going to be champ for a long time. I'd love to see Beth come out of retirement the way her man came out of retirement, because she did Beth wrong at that other pay-per-view where she was like going to, basically kill her, and they made Edge say, I quit. That was how they beat Edge in the I quit match. She was going to concerto Beth. So I think now you get that payoff where you let Beth come in and get one little run at the belt. She loses, of course, and you let Rhea get that win as well. And that gives you time to build up whatever babyface you want to come after her that's going to fail ultimately, because Rhea has to be champ, maybe not as long as Roman, but she needs a year-long reign for sure.
I think I hope Rhea Ripley holds the belt for 1,000 days. Like she is.
Might.
so like we've always said, I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast, but me and you have talked about it, that like Charlotte Flair is so good. She's athletic. She's got like the gymnastic skills. She does high flying things. She's so much stronger than all the other girls. Because like in with the men's division, it's like you'll see like a big guy, right? And you'll be like, oh, who could beat that guy? And then they bring in another big guy. There's a lot of big guys. Where with Charlotte, it was just she's not only big and strong and athletic, but she's the only big and really strong and really athletic one. So she just dominated the women's field. Rhea Ripley's the first we've seen that were like strong, big, great on the mic, great. She knows what she's doing. She's hanging with the guys. She's
has a great look. She looks super hot, even though she's like dark and about
for
death.
Like months. She beat up Dom every week on wrestling. So she's just the perfect person to have the belt, and she's the perfect person to. I hope that she carries it for a long time, and I actually kind of hope that she becomes a little more like a face instead of heel, because I don't know. I just think that she's.
I think people are going to cheer for her regardless. So she may end up being one of those people that can be a heel when she feels like it and still get cheered. But I think they're definitely going to bring sweet little baby faces up to try and take the title from her that she can just chew up and spit out.
Best of the week.
Jeff, what was your best of the week?
You already touched on it, but I loved the Omos versus Brock Lesnar. But
Get out of town.
We will disagree a little, because I love Omos. I think he's so cool looking, and that voice, like you could hear him over all of the crowd, like while he was like taunting. He sounded like Shao Kahn from like Mortal Kombat. He's like he's like laughing, and like he's just such a deep, cool, and he looked cool with the hood. MVP's got his back, but like everyone just looks so small to him. They did the standoff, which was pretty cool. And I love Brock. Big Brock guy. Always have been a big Brock guy since day one.
I love babyface Brock, dude. I love him so much.
He came out smiling and laughing, which was pretty interesting. You never see that. Yeah, was pretty cool.
I love it.
I would hate for Brock Lesnar to hear this. I love Brock, but I just wish Omos would have won. I think it could have been a nice way to be like, here's a new guy.
I hear you.
Because Brock has nothing to lose by losing that match. He can just kind of like look up and smile and be like, okay, you got the best of me this time. Or you could find a controversial way to like let Omos win. But like whatever it could be is like,
yeah, that I would buy more if MVP interfered and
something,
spit whiskey in his face again and it hurt his eyes and then almost wins or some kind of trickery. But I thought they protected him the best they could and still have him lose, because he did dominate the majority of the match.
Constantly, unless it's a jobber. This Omos guy just keeps losing.
Well, he's green, man. He doesn't know how to work a match yet. He still has to grow. So I think that's why they can't give him the humongo push because of that. My best of the week was Ripley Flair. I love this payoff. You and I have been rooting for this girl for so long. They had one suplex there that was just freaking insane. I thought Charlotte was going to die, but it looked almost planned. Like she planned on doing that full on back, not flip, but back layout to her stomach, basically. And I think it was just her hair there's so much hair that it looked like her head smashed into the mat. But when I watched it again on the clip, it didn't. She cleared it fine. But no, it didn't. But that suplex was so scary to watch. But other than that, I loved the story they told. I really enjoyed the match. I liked the fact that she won. She has the belt, and it doesn't look like that belt's going to go anywhere for a very long time. That said, how do you feel? And we'll get ready to close with this. How do you feel about the sale of WWE to Endeavor, a Hollywood company?
I don't even know what it means. Like, I don't know what the possibilities are. Like what does a merger with UFC mean? Are they just going to keep like a division of already wrestling people to run it?
That's more media nonsense. You don't have to think of it like that. Like, they're not going to be operating as one entity. Right. Dana and Vince, first of all, hate one another. They don't respect one another. All those quotes that Dana made are the exact opposite of what he said about WWE and Vince McMahon for the last 20 years. It's all on YouTube. Everything he's ever said, everything Colin Cowherd ever said, and now he loves it too. because
Yeah.
he's repped by Endeavor, and that's who got him the tickets to sit by. So now he says, oh, but it's such a great show. Like he called the
Right.
fans of WWE mouth breathers. All right.
Yeah.
He does not respect wrestling or you. So screw these guys. They've always talked trash. Don't give them love now, y'all. They're
Right.
just doing the company line BS. But these will be separately run companies. Endeavor has much more than just the UFC. They're buying, I want to know who their bank is, because apparently they're just buying everything on credit, because ain't no way they got $10 billion on hand like that.
That's crazy.
But they'll be operated separately. UFC has always had opportunities to work with WWE ever since Ken Shamrock back in the day. They tried to get Chael Sonnen. I know they tried to get Chael. I think I was actually there when they went after Chael. They tried to get Bob Sapp. I think they actually may have gotten Bob Sapp for a week and then realized he couldn't wrestle and sent him back to Japan. So there'll be opportunities there for guys that are retiring, maybe a few more, but they'll definitely be run completely separate. My only thing is, who did Endeavor agree is going to run the company? Because if it's Vince, then I don't know what that does to Hunter. And Hunter's been the driving force behind the improvement of this. And that's not to say Vince doesn't have good ideas, all right? The Bloodline was Vince McMahon's idea. That was his, all right? And I think that's public. I think other people have mentioned that before. This isn't like breaking news. So he has good ideas, but the wrestlers made the Bloodline work. The talent is what made that work. Paul Heyman helping out with that is what made that work. His ideas can work, but some of them you end up with the Karrion Kross and the sex maniac leather gladiator getup. You know what I mean? Like, that's not cool. That's whack. That nobody wants to look at that. Nobody wants to see that. So it's whoever they agreed is gonna run it. And if it's Vince, look, I love Vince. He was good to me, but him and Kevin have gone the wrong way so many times on wrestlers, not because of any other choice outside of pettiness. Like, it's not that, oh, this wrestler can't work or this wrestler can't talk. It's, they didn't want to play ball this time, so screw them next time. And it's like, well, all right, you just deaded 4 other stories because all the other wrestlers that were wrestling that guy had stories, and now we're starting over again. Yes, you are. Oh, okay, you're not even denying it. Awesome, cool, let's go back to work. I mean, that's how it was when I was there.
It's crazy.
So, yeah, man. So I don't know. I don't know. I hope it was just a temporary thing and Vince came in to make sure they got the most out of it. Because before Vince was there, people were saying it was going to sell for like $4 billion. And Vince must have heard that and been like, screw that. I'm coming back. I'll show you how to negotiate. And then he gets this huge deal. Hopefully he trusts Hunter enough to leave Hunter in charge, because I really feel like Hunter's got a great eye for talent. He's got a great eye for stories. He knows who can pull things off and who can't. I'm not saying the guy's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but almost every, if not every disagreement he and I had when I worked there, in hindsight, looking back, he was right and I was wrong. I got no issue saying that. Like, wow. I ended up learning a lot when I left the company, looking back at the choices that were made while I was there and the ones he supported and the ones he didn't. And like I said, if not every time, maybe I got one where I was like, haha, I'm right, but I can't remember it. So it was definitely, he was right more. So I hope he's still in charge, man. But you never know. I mean, wrestling ain't going anywhere. We know that. They just put $10 billion into it.
I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but at least we won't have to hear about it, maybe selling, maybe not selling. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a consistency now, because I feel like there was a lot of question marks up in the air the whole time. Like, oh, is he going to sell it? The Saudis going to buy it? Like, what does this mean? And also maybe now we'll have some consistency on whether Vince is there or isn't there. It's been a guessing match since he's left. Like, when will he come back? Will he ever come back? Is he, it's like kind of a lot of, I don't know. There might be some kind of structure now, which will be interesting.
I think you said it best last year, and I wasn't sold on this until he came back. And you were, is he going to leave? Is he not? You were like, look, he's going to leave, but he's going to come back and he's going to die in gorilla position. Like, he's never going to quit. It's one of those things where, like, was it you that was saying, like, the old school football coach who retired and like died a day later because
Joe Pa from Penn State.
That was the guy.
He died of like a broken heart because he only knows football. If Vince doesn't get in wrestling, he's just wandering the streets going, what? He doesn't know the outside world.
Growing thin little pencil thin villain mustaches from the 1940s, like he's going against Humphrey Bogart in a movie. Like, listen here, Humphrey, you're not getting the girl this time. And Humphrey Bogart's like, yeah, we'll see about that. It's time for a brand new segment, my friend.
The hot tag.
All right, guys, we've talked about it on this podcast before. Me and Freddie have said it multiple times, and I've said it off camera thousands of times. These Japanese wrestlers, the Asian wrestlers, need more respect in our business. Okay? Listen, they're great. They're talented.
Are you setting me up for
No, this is real. This is a real hot tag.
Give it to me.
But I think that's why I made it the first one of season 3. I know how important mic work is. I'm always defending it. I'm saying, listen, I actually like someone if they're good enough on the mic that I don't even care if they make a mess of the ring. I was a huge Enzo Amore fan because guess what? The dude's got good mic work. But here's the thing. That's why Shinsuke Nakamura is basically just floating around the roster and why they're not putting the belt for longer than a month and a half on Asuka is because they're not doing the mic work. We teach them one word of English and then they shout it very strangely. It feels weird. I get it. But maybe set them up. Maybe give them some love. Give them a Paul Heyman. Give them a manager that they can just rant in their native language and then the manager takes charge, says what they says and does whatever. We need to find a way to showcase and make these Asian wrestlers giant stars like they should be in wrestling. That's my hot tag. Find a way.
I freaking love your hot tag. And even though the ref wants me out of the ring, I'm not getting out of the ring. You and I are doing a combo move to this guy because your tag was so hot. I couldn't agree more. How crazy would it be if the bloodline broke up and Paul Heyman's as character said, you know what? I'm gonna give my services to every Japanese wrestler on the roster. And then we all just assume that Paul speaks fluent Japanese and he just translates, even though he doesn't, right?
That'd
like the character wouldn't. And he'd be like, here's what Shinsuke just said. So now you're going to understand pain in a whole new way and just break down whatever Paul wants to say because he's money. And then Shinsuke would just be like, yeah, you damn right. And then go have an amazing match and kick the crap out of everybody.
It's worth it because they're so good. They're arguably superior to the other wrestlers in many ways. They just don't have the mic work. So all of us in the audience are going, what is this guy saying? So why aren't we trying to find a way to make them shine as brightly as they should? Why not?
Today I'm recording from my Gaghead Studios, so my YouTube channel under the same name, Gaghead, is going to be back very soon with lots of nerdy games. If you like the stories I tell here, every game I run is an original custom story that I wrote, so it's a lot more of my stupid voice. If you like it, then I guess you don't think it's stupid, but I think it's pretty stupid. Anything else, Jeff? Did I forget anything?
Follow us on Instagram, Wrestling with Freddie. Twitter is WWFreddie Pod. Follow us on all the socials so you can submit your questions for the Federation.
This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.